You know, the Democratic Party really cares about black people. I'm sorry, but there couldn't be a more funny sentence than the Democratic Party really cares about black people. That is really funny. I'm not kidding. That's a very funny sentence to ever have to speak. You know, the Democratic Party really likes to come out and say that Donald Trump is one of the worst people for immigrants. That one of the I'm sorry, the Republicans are really, really bad for Democrats are really bad, but the Republicans are really, really bad for on issues of immigration. They're really bad with black people, and although that is the truth, Republicans, I know you're losing your minds. I'm sorry. Although that is the truth, it's actually not completely true from the Democratic viewpoint. You know, you got Democratic hacks and the centrist corporate hacks who you know, I gotta keep reminding you, bungled the Senate. The Senate's hanging in the balance when it should have never been hanging in the balance. They lost 10 seats in the House. They shouldn't have lost 10 seats in the House. And, you know, they wonder why black people don't vote. You know, there are 100 million people in this country that don't vote. And you got black people who don't vote. And if they do vote, they don't really vote for Democrats all the time. Now, you do have places like Milwaukee and Detroit where, yeah, they'll vote Democratic if they go to the polls. If. That's a big if. You know, going to the polls takes a lot of courage, and you gotta want to go to the polls. You can't just be like, willing, like, let's just go to the polls. You know? You can't do that. And, you know, you might be wondering, okay, where is this going? Well, the Democratic Party has been against black people for so long now. It used to be that the Democratic Party cared about workers, it cared about human rights, and it cared about every one of us in the lower class, in the middle class. And then you had the Republicans who cared about their corporate people, their corporate business owners, and big business and all of that. And you know, you had the Democrats change in a way because, you know, really they have now started to vote on policies that affect black people. Like, think about it. In Detroit, Michigan, a bunch of black people there, African Americans, lost their jobs because Joe Biden voted for NAFTA and helped Bill Clinton pass it. And then, you know, their jobs were shipped overseas. And then they lost those jobs. And those companies that made them lose their jobs, their pensions, their benefits, their paychecks, all decided that they're going to take their jobs to Mexico, to China, Vietnam, India, UK, wherever. The Cayman Islands, the Netherlands, or Switzerland, because they were all tax havens. And then the country, like Joe Biden, started giving them $700 million federal government contracts. And they said, go ahead and move your freaking your companies overseas and close down over here because you can pay Mexicans cheaper labor. You can pay the Chinese cheaper labor. Cheaper labor. Apple. Most of Silicon Valley manufacturing. And then, you know, those black people were then hit even more by Joe Biden because he then did the crime bill. And that gave police more military-style weapons. It put over 100,000 new cops in the streets. It over-policed communities. And most people don't like police in their communities. And then, right, he put marijuana on the schedule as a Schedule 1 drug. He made it more illegal. He put more laws on the books so that police would have more responsibilities. And then what happened, right? More black men were put in jail than white men. More black men served longer sentences than white men. And a lot of times it was for doing the same goddamn crime, but because you're a person of color, Joe Biden didn't care. The Democrats didn't care. The Republicans didn't care. Nobody cared about you if you were black. And if you're black now, they damn sure don't care about you because, aside from the crime bill and aside from that horrible trade policy that Joe Biden championed, now you got police with military-style weapons finding excuses to arrest you if you're black. And now you have to have the talk. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Don't reach for your wallet. Don't reach for your license. Don't reach into your glove compartment. Don't even reach to take off your seatbelt. Hands on the steering wheel. Yes, sir. No, sir. What white person has that talk? And I know white people are going to say, oh my God, me. What about us? Because it's always about white people, by the way. You know, they always complain. Anyway, if you are in that minority of white people that does get arrested for no reason, okay, great. But then you got black people, unarmed black men, being shot and killed. Jordan Davis, Freddie Gray, Michael Brown, and then Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor. I mean, black men and black women can't sleep. They can't sit down and eat a sandwich. They can't have a toy gun. Oh, but a white person can. They can sleep. They can have a toy gun. They can sit down and eat a sandwich. And, so you get these police shootings happening, and Joe Biden created a lot of laws that the police now have to follow, including, mental health, including homeless people. And, that has created this phenomenon of, well, look, you're a black man, so you're going to be shot by the police. And that is no different in Chicago. And I bring up Chicago because Joe Biden's cabinet is starting to look more and more corrupt as it goes. New tweet here. Joe Biden looking to put Rahm Emanuel, former mayor of Chicago, who was a senior advisor to Bill Clinton in the 1990s and was a congressman until 2009, left to become Obama's chief of staff, but then ran successfully for mayor in 2010 of Chicago. Why do I mention Rahm Emanuel? I want to mention the name to you, Laquan McDonald, who was murdered by a police officer, unarmed, by the way, and Rahm Emanuel covered up that murder. He helped the police officers out. He covered up the murder of a black teenager, Laquan McDonald, who today would be a young adult. And guess what? Rahm Emanuel wanted to run for a third term as mayor. But guess what? He couldn't because of his horrible fucking record with black people. And then, so he covers up this murder, and you would think, oh my God, why would Joe Biden put a man who covered up the murder of a black teenager who couldn't even run for mayor because he knew his record was shit? Oh. And then the CNN article points out that this is going to enrage not only many Democrats, but many progressives and get everybody off the Biden train. You should have already been off. Already been off. You should have never been on the Biden train. Joe Biden doesn't care about you. He never has. He never will. You're putting a guy who sided with the police, covered up evidence that would have prosecuted the officer who shot Laquan McDonald, and brought his family some justice, some closure. And now you know why Joe Biden will not do any criminal justice reform. When you have someone vying for the Department of Transportation, along with Eric Garcetti from Los Angeles, who allowed the police who killed Laquan McDonald to get away. That's the guy. And everybody who voted for Joe Biden are cucks. You're suckers. I don't care if you're former teachers of mine. I don't care if you're friends of mine. I don't care if you're family. You're all cucks. Because you voted for a man who's putting a bunch of corrupt asswipes and assholes in his cabinet. And now you're voting for a guy who wants to put a man who covered up evidence that would have put police officers in jail for the murder of a black teenager, Laquan McDonald. Yeah, this is why Trump doubled his support among blacks and Latinos, where he lost the support of white men, surprisingly, gained the support of white women. In fact, his support among white women doubled. And why do you think it was? The fact that it was white suburbanites and wine moms who don't have a fucking problem, who migrated from the Republican Party, who are in the managerial class, or even people who have really good salaries, if you're lucky to, mainly whites, they helped Joe Biden. It wasn't black people who were overwhelmingly happy to vote for him, because neither Trump and neither Biden has been any good for these people. To the blacks or to the Latinos. Why do you think the Democrats suffer? Why is it that when we say we don't want to vote for Joe because he's bad for black people, and then every single one of you who voter shames us, oh, you're just voting for Trump if you don't vote for Biden. Yeah, I don't want to vote for a fucking racist, homophobic, rapist, warmonger, criminal, and corporatist, and cuck, and establishment tool. I don't want to vote for that because he would put people like Rahm Emanuel in his cabinet, who, if you're black and you voted for Joe Biden, I want you to realize how little research you do. Just because, oh, he's not Trump. Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. Guess what? Latinos and blacks who voted for Joe Biden, you effed up and you screwed over the rest of us. Because if you think that Joe Biden cares for you, if you think that because you're African American and you voted for good old Uncle Joe who you can have a beer with, well, guess what? You're fucking dead wrong. Yeah, murdering a black guy will get you into a Democratic cabinet and a Democratic administration. Don't worry. I know you covered up the murder of a black man by a police officer. Hey, but Joe Biden will put you in his cabinet. So if you ever have complaints about why Democrats are losing, you know, why in so many ways people are voting third party and why more people are going away from the Democratic Party, it's because of this kind of crap right here.